There is a communication pattern I see in almost every leader with an authority gap. It goes like this: data, 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 context, qualification, more data, and then if the room has not already decided without them, the recommendation. 12 reasons why, and then what they actually think. The room stopped listening at reason 4. The data-first communication pattern is so common in authority gap leaders that it is almost diagnostic on its own. The leader sequences their communication as an analyst would, building the case methodically, marshaling evidence, arriving at a conclusion the audience has to wait for. In a meeting with 10 agenda items, this pattern consumes disproportionate time and produces disproportionately little perceived authority. The room experiences a researcher presenting findings rather than a leader exercising judgment. Position-first communication reverses the pattern entirely. I recommend we delay the launch by 2 weeks before. Here are the 12 reasons why. The recommendation leads. The data supports. The room engages with a position rather than sitting through a briefing. This is not a communication hack. It is an identity shift. The analyst builds the case because their identity is built on the quality of their analysis. The executive states the position because their identity is built on the quality of their judgment. Authority gaps are harder to close than expression gaps because they are tied to role identity, not communication mechanics. And position-first communication is where that identity shift becomes audible. The reason this is hard is not because you cannot restructure a sentence. You restructure sentences for a living. The reason it is hard is that leading with your position feels exposed. When you build the case first, the data is your armor. When you state your position first, you are standing in front of the room with nothing between you and their judgment except your judgment. That exposure is what authority feels like. In Module 2, you learned that the authority gap is the transition from proving value to projecting confidence. Position-first communication is what projecting confidence sounds like in practice. You are not asking the room to follow your data. You are asking them to follow your judgment. And judgment without the armor of data requires a register that most analysts have never practiced. Before any meeting, email, or presentation where you are making a recommendation, follow this protocol. Step 1, write the recommendation in 1 sentence. Step 2, write the 3 strongest supporting points. Step 3, lead with the recommendation. Step 4, offer the supporting points only if the room asks for them or if the decision is contested. Most of the time, the room does not need all 12 reasons. They need your position and enough context to evaluate it. The rest of the analysis is available. It is just no longer leading. A VP of product in a leadership team meeting, the CEO asks whether they should launch the new feature this quarter. The VP's instinct: pull up the competitive analysis, walk through the user research, present 3 risk scenarios, review engineering capacity, and then 8 minutes later, I recommend delaying by 2 weeks. Position first version. I recommend we delay the launch by 2 weeks. The beta data shows a 23% drop off in onboarding, and 2 weeks gives us time to fix it before we scale marketing spend. Happy to walk through the full analysis if that is useful. Same recommendation, different register. The first version signals analyst, the second signals executive. The room heard the same conclusion, but experienced a different leader. Consider an email thread. A CFO needs to recommend against a proposed acquisition. Data first version, a 900-word email with 4 sections of financial analysis before the recommendation appears in paragraph 5. Position first version, I recommend we pass on this acquisition. The integration cost exceeds the projected synergy value by 40% over 3 years, and the cultural risk is unquantifiable but significant. Full analysis attached. The email went from 900 words to 45. The recommendation went from buried to leading. Treating position first as dumbing it down misses the point. The analysis is not eliminated. It is repositioned. The sequencing changes, and position first does not mean position only. The data is available. It follows the recommendation instead of preceding it. Find the last email you sent that contained a recommendation. Rewrite it. Recommendation first, 3 supporting points second, everything else cut. Compare the two versions side by side. Notice how much shorter the second one is. Notice which one sounds like it came from a leader. The first time you do this in a live setting, it will feel wrong. You will feel like you skipped the important part. You did not skip it, you moved it, and the room will respond differently because they are engaging with a leader's judgment, not an analyst briefing. Position first communication changes how you present your own judgment. The next piece is about how you handle other people's judgment. Because how you delegate, and specifically how you respond after you have delegated, is one of the clearest authority signals in any organization. It reveals whether you trust the team you have built or whether you are still the person who needs to have the best answer.